exciting. And yeah.
You know, the #2 all-time American, only Dina's faster. #2.
Okay. I didn't look it up before because I didn't want to have it in my mind. Yeah.
Well, Dina's 219 and change. So
okay. What's Shalane and Joni then?
They're 221.
Okay.
So you're 220.57. So you can strut out of here if you'd like.
It was so cool yesterday, Joni. There's a big photo of me at the Nike store downtown, and it says to win an Olympic medal, and she was holding up a sign, and she wrote "You will." So that's it's a classic photo, and she's been just such a great friend to me these past several years, and I just want to follow in her footsteps. 11 more years the Olympics are in Los Angeles, so I just want to have a long time in the sport, so that helps me when I think about today, just thinking about long term, and it's just another stepping stone, and I learned a ton today.
One last quick question for me. You're young, your future, you're still going to run 10Ks on the track and then become a marathoner later full time, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think I went through 5K, and what about I can run on the track? It's just so weird. It's such a weird phenomenon here. We after Boston, I went back and ran a 5K, and we thought I'd PR and ran the same 15:45. So I think my gift is the longer stuff for whatever reason, and maybe eventually back to the track, but for now, sticking with the roads.
American third-place finisher Jordan Hasse with us on Sports Radio 670 The Score. Second fastest American ever, 2:20.57 the time, and everything brings a smile to your face. How are you going to celebrate?
My dad and aunt are here, and my coaches and sports therapists, so we'll just hang out the rest of the day, and then next week I'm going to Disneyland with my best friend, and then we're the Three Musketeers, my dad, brother, and I are going to Hawaii, so I got some good trips lined up.
Good for you. Again, congratulations, and we've got a feeling we're going to see you back in Chicago in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. It was a huge honor. The crowd was so loud. Early on, it was hard to stay calm, so thanks for the crowds, and then they helped me through the last part for sure.
Well, you've got time to get out there and cheer on a few runners yourself. They'll be out there for a few more hours, but you're all done. So again, congratulations, and thanks for being with us on The Score.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Jordan Hasse in the house. What a cool day at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. We've never had one like it. With 2 podium finishes with Americans, Jordan finishing 3rd, and Galen Rupp, the disruptor, finishing 1st on the men's side. Rupp's performance today came at a time of 2:09.20. 30 seconds ahead of Abel Karui, the man who won a sprint to the finish last year. He talked and credited his coach with setting him up and influencing him to just rest up, fall asleep during the race, come alive later when his track credentials, his shorter credentials, could help him really speed ahead. And that's what happened with Rupp, forcing his way to the lead with about 3 miles to go. On the women's side, not even Jordan was able to keep up with the speedy Tiranish Dibaba, and finished in 2:18.31. All right, we got Jordan out of the way. Boy, I tell you, she is one inspirational figure. So fired up, so pumped up to be with us. What is it from what she said that strikes you, Larry Rawson?
Can I give you a Jordan story that's awesome?
Absolutely.
I ran into her dad, who I had not met. We had this wonderful little conversation, and I said, one thing I wanted to ask your daughter was, how did she get started? And he said, actually, it's a great story. I said, please tell me. He said she was in the 5th grade, and he was approached by her school principal, who said, I want you to know that in little competitions that we have in the 5th grade, your daughter is beating everybody by miles. And I would like to know if you would give permission for your daughter to run at a higher level. We have a boys program for the 7th and 8th graders. Will you let your little tiny daughter, who's in the 5th grade, run with these 7th and 8th grade boys? He said, I don't want her to get a complex because she's losing to them, but I think that she can run with them with your permission. And Dad says, sure, let her run. She never lost a race to the 7th and 8th graders when she was a 5th grader.
Classic, classic. So that must have been the credentials, as we're joined by Executive Race Director Kerry Pinkowski. This will fifth grade girl who would beat the 7th and 8th graders, and next thing she knows, she's blazing through to a great finish in Boston, and certainly on your radar for even longer. What was it that attracted you to a Jordan Hasse to the point where you'd invite her to Chicago?
Well, we've been aware of Jordan Hasse since she was in high school. I saw her run in the Olympic trials in 2008 when she was in high school. She's a phenomenal athlete, but just a great person. You know, she's got an energy about her. I mean, she charmed the city. We were at the finish line, and her massage therapist had a cutout of her, and Mayor Emanuel was walking in front of the crowd and reached up and grabbed that cutout and held it up, and it was, you know, so he was keenly aware of.
So even the mayor's got a cutout.
The mayor.
He can't get close to the real Jordan Hasse.
Right,
She's
exactly.
that popular.
He's got to make an appointment. But the first thing he asked me is how's Jordan doing? You know, so I mean, he was keenly aware of her. So she's impacted the city. She's part of our athletic profile now. So hopefully we'll get her back next year. I got to start the conversations and have her back because she did a great job. I think she can go for the American record. What better place to do it than here in Chicago? And if you think about the women that have run in the Chicago Marathon, Joan Samuelson, Dina Castor.
When she mentioned them first as
an
inspiration,
right.
That was going through her mind. I thought that was fascinating. What was keeping her going? What was pumping her up, thinking of past champions?
Well, history and tradition. She got to spend some time. She had never met Paula Radcliffe. They got to meet in our host hotel, spend some time together. You know, that insight that was shared by Joan and Dina and Paula, that had to help. They put her in the right frame of mind. And believe me, those three women were keenly interested on, you know, they did some things for us this morning, but they were constantly checking the video and listening to you guys on the screen here to see how Jordan was doing. And Jordan stuck her nose in there, you guys. That's what you heard we talk about this.
There was no let-up.
She came to race, and she stuck her nose in there with one of the greatest women runners of all time. She's against the Olympic world champion, world record holder, Olympic champion. So it's going to be amazing that she's with Alberto Salazar. So the future is there. So I think it's a great future for the women's, and she's going to connect with those women moving forward.
All right, do we want to keep any final thoughts on Jordan before we flip the script to the other side of the red, white, and blue day here and talk about Galen?
I think you touched on it, though, is people like Joe Benoit Samuelson, Dina Castor, and others, they're Jordan's biggest cheerleaders. They want this next generation of Americans to succeed and win on the world stage, and what better place to do that than Chicago?
Absolutely.
And we should mention the time today of winner Tirunesh Dibaba, about a minute 10 or so, 15 seconds short of the course record. So it was a fast women's race in which Jordan kept up with. And red, white, and blue is on the podium, third on the women's side, and the men's winner, Galen Rupp. That's got to bring a smile.
Oh, how about that? I mean, he's got a Chicago connection, guys. His dad is from Maywood. He went to Fenwick High School. So there's a lot of Fenwick people around on the course today. So I mean, there's a Chicago connection. He's a big Cubs fan. He's, you know, this is kind of his second home. We got the Cubs going. When are they going? Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Did he ask for tickets?
Well, how about Chris Derrick, the leader at mile 17, 18?
He's got tickets. Yeah, we got a real connection here with Chris Derrick from Naperville, Neuqua High School. So this is a great day for our 40th anniversary, the 40th year of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. We just a great day. The city has been amazing. Mayor Emanuel has been with us every step of the way. He was here early, talked with some of the city officials, walked through the finish line, met with the people that were handing out the bananas and the medals and the water, spent some time, took some pictures, talked to the people at the crowd here. So, the city it's a running city. The marathon is part of the Chicago sports profile.
Okay, so we talked about the winners with you, Kerry, Executive Race Director Kerry Pinkowski, alongside myself, Josh Liss. Greg Meyer, former last American to win, second to last American to win.
Greg.
Move back. He's passed the baton.
No
Step
more
back.
free meals.
And Larry Ross
Step back.
You might have a few more hours on until word trickles out to the rest of the city. And Larry Ross, and guys, it's a great American day here in Chicago, and that includes Tatiana McFadden, who won again on the women's side. You're shaking your head in disbelief, Kerry. 8 for her, 7 championships in a row, and it was a close call finish.
And this is her hometown race. I mean, the University of Illinois, Champaign, right down the road, best program in the world. They produce these athletes that just come and perform well, not only in Chicago, in New York, in Boston, in London, in the Olympics. What a program. Fighting Illini ripped through the streets of Chicago today.
McFadden wins and Marcel Hoog back-to-back, no one close. Let's see, back-to-back winners. So Hoog's performance, this guy, you could adopt him as a Chicagoan as well.
And you know, a big part of this is Abbott and their generosity with the Abbott World Marathon Majors and creating a series that these races are so important. You get points and there's a payout at the end. So they'll move on to New York and get after it again, and then we'll celebrate our series champion.
All right, so guys, last things you want to lob at Kerry before we take another break here. Larry?
I'm just having too good a time listening. You guys are killing it here. I'll just sit back. I got nothing to say. I mean,
Well, I had a chance
Kerry's
to-
in the house. He'll carry the ball.
I had a chance to listen to you guys. You did a good job today. I'm proud.
Wait a
of
minute,
myself.
wait a minute. Time
You were
out.
sweating like you told us.
I want our audience to know it is impossible to earn a full compliment from Kerry. So you notice we got downgraded to a good, which is like a C plus
You
or a
want
B
me to
minus
push you guys.
in a term paper.
Exactly. I know I'm hard on you guys, but you know, come
Yeah,
on.
so what are you going to do next year for us out here?
I don't know. We'll
There's the
figure it out.
million-dollar question.
I-
And how about you, Jenny? Anything for Kerry before we spring into a quick break?
Well, I just still very excited about that women's race. What did you think about 5 women going out at 2:16 pace?
You know, that seems to be the tradition now. The women get after it, and the guys are much more tactical. So women come here and run fast. I mean, they were clicking along. I mean, it was great. And the fact that Jordan went with that lead group and then still ran the second fastest time on American, fantastic. Shows a lot of heart.
So, Kerry, I just have to say, you know, watching this race and watching how slow it was in the beginning, and I saw the guys you'd lined up, and I said, we've got 7 or 8 guys that have run 27:40 or faster in the field, and when he dropped that 4:28 mile in there, that was a crushing blow.
And that-
Amazing.
Exactly. I was surprised that they let it. You know,
Me too.
I mean, that's slow. I mean, if I was you know, Abel Karui, I don't want Galen Rupp, you know, loping along behind
what
my
Greg
shoulder,
said, yeah.
You know, because he's a finisher. He is a finisher, and he's proven that to us. So he did, you know, guys, he did what he needed to do. He trained, he prepared, he focused on Chicago. And you guys know we were in the hotel, very relaxed. He was smiling. His training was going. He was interacting with people. I've never seen an athlete so relaxed. So he did what he needed to do. He just needs to replicate that and move on. Maybe we'll see him in Boston in the spring.
Okay, in all seriousness, what did the podium finishes by Jordan and Galen winning today, how does that help Chicago make a statement?
I think it sends a message to the American athlete. I mean, it's an opportunity that they can compete on a global stage. The fact that it's in the heart of the Midwest here in the city of Chicago, that just, you know, exemplifies it. This is a great sporting town. We had 2 athletes that performed really well. It's awesome.
It is awesome. All right, guys, hang tight. We've got a little bit more to come on our broadcast of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. The 40th running has seen podium finishes by Americans. Galen Rupp, the winner on the men's side, and in 3rd place on the women's side, Jordan Hasse. Much more to come on Sports Radio 670, The Score.
1.7 million spectators, over 40,000 runners, and 12,000 volunteers. The Bank of America Chicago Marathon is an incredible celebration, but it's also a meaningful boost to our city. Through the race, we generated nearly $300 million last year, supporting our local businesses and our charities, because when this city runs, it thrives. Join us today for the 40th Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Bank of America, life better connected. Copyright 2017, Bank of America Corporation.
You've heard of the sweet spot, the place that feels just right. Well, American has that spot on their international flights. It's called Premium Economy. The sweet stuff includes wider leather seats, more legroom, gourmet meals with free alcohol, free in-flight entertainment, and more. And get this, all at a price that, well, hits the proverbial spot. This is the seat you've been waiting for. Premium Economy on American Airlines.
Do you want to own a piece of history from the 40th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon? Pick up a copy of tomorrow's Chicago Tribune or visit chicagotribune.com/shopmarathon and get your copy of the Chicago Tribune commemorative results section featuring all the names and times of runners that finished under 6 hours and 30 minutes. Own a piece of history. Pick up a copy of tomorrow's Chicago Tribune or visit chicagotribune.com/shopmarathon today.
My marathon is raising my 3 kids.
Mine is turning 50.
My marathon is taking control of my diabetes.
My life is
is full of marathons.
And I can conquer all of them.
Abbott creates life-changing breakthroughs in health with nutrition solutions, medical devices, and advanced diagnostics to help you be your best through all of life's marathons. Abbott, life to the fullest. Proud sponsor of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
My marathon, 26.2.
It takes incredible determination to run 26.2 miles. At Molex and Koch Industries, we're just as determined to push forward, creating innovative technologies and products you use every day. Solutions for your home, your health, your life. As a proud sponsor of the 40th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, we celebrate the spirit that lies within each runner in their drive to reach the finish. Visit molex.com/marathon.
1.7 million spectators, over 40,000 runners, and 12,000 volunteers. The Bank of America Chicago Marathon is an incredible celebration, but it's also a meaningful boost to our city. Through the race, we generated nearly $300 million last year, supporting our local businesses and our charities, because when this city runs, it thrives. Join us today for the 40th Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Bank of America, life better connected. Copyright 2017, Bank of America Corporation.
All right, here we go, guys. Hi, it's Josh Liss back at the finish line of the 40th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. I am practically within arm's reach of a heavier stream of runners who are about to cross the finish line. I don't know, where are we? Larry Rossing, Greg Meyer, and Creed Kelly, and Jenny Spangler. These are champions as well. They're about to finish what might be their debut marathon or their 100th marathon. We don't know. Some of them are carrying flags of other countries. They're smiling, looking left and right. Some of them are in pain. Some of them look like they fit right in. They're going to cross and finish their 26.2 mile journey. The inspiration continues, because at a marathon, it's more than just crowning champions. It's about the tens of thousands that are still going to cross today.
So 730 miles is what these athletes right now are running, and it's been over an hour. And Larry, you have to realize these are good, solid recreational athletes that are coming down this finish line.
These are the athletes that spend a great deal of time and effort in training. They know time management. Frequently the families help them by mom saying, I'll make you a special dinner later. I fed the kids at 6 while you were running. You know, or dad takes over and helps out while mom is out running. And you know this, Jenny, better than anybody, because you're a coach of distance runners and marathoners.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of people and things that go into making this day happen for so many people, and it's just a tribute to the sport crew, the volunteers, and everybody out here that these people are running down toward this finish line. And one thing I wanted to notice real quick was that, you know, typically if it's a warm day, when I see people running toward the finish line, there's a lot of calf cramps and just people with faces that are looking like, okay, this needs to be done. But people are charging toward the finish line today, which I think shows that the weather really is a good day today.
Yeah,
ideal.
a little warm with the sun peeking out a little bit, but no one is complaining. Guys, we're going to talk more and wrap up this race in a matter of moments. We want to go out to Joe King at this moment and bring him in on the phone, head of North American Marketing and Communications with Tata Consulting Services. Joe, you're with one of the great sponsors and coordinators of this great race. How is your perspective? Thanks for joining us.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, what is the setup between Tata and the relationship with the Bank of America Chicago Marathon? And today you've seen American podium finishers in both races.
No, it's a great day. So first of all, I want to congratulate all the athletes. It's just to get to the starting line healthy and in the finish is you know, just really special, and TPS is honored to be a part of it. You know, we've been involved with the Bank of America Chicago Marathon since 2012. Our main contribution is a mobile app. So if you're one of the folks out there that downloaded the mobile app, you're able to track runners, up to 20 of your favorite runners. Of course, there's an event leaderboard, interactive course map. The technology has come so far, and we're so proud to bring it to the race. It makes spectating that much easier when you know exactly where your friends and family are on the course.
Joe King with Tata Consultancy. So it's been a long relationship. You've been with the Bank of America Chicago Marathon for like 5 years now. In that period of time, what kind of growth have you seen as this race has really grown into even more of a global event?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the great things about the mobile app is it unifies what is truly a global race here in Chicago. So whether you're able to be here in person to watch family and friends, or if you're in any other part of the world, the app gives you real-time updates. Every 5K, you're getting an update of where your runners are on the course. Just the explosion in the use of technology in races like this is amazing. Not just social media. We're going to see, when all said and done, over 150,000 downloads of the app. When you consider there's only 45,000 or so runners in the race, that means every runner has probably 3 or 4 people that are downloading the app to track them. So, the app is kind of that unifying tool that makes this truly a global race.
Where do we go right now if we're interested in downloading the app and tracking runners who may still be out there?
Absolutely. You can go to Google Play, you can go to the App Store. You've got not just this year's race, but it's got historical records, I think, going back 6 or 7 years. So, it's got the rest of the race weekend schedule, it's got the real-time weather, and the interactive course map, so you can follow the race up until the last run across the finish line.
Thanks for being one of the great sponsors of this great race. Joe King, thanks for your time. Tata Consultancy. We'll speak again, I'm sure, in future marathons. So, guys, Larry Rawson, Greg Meyer, Creek Kelly, Jenny Spangler. We've seen the red, white, and blue podium finishes. Galen Rupp in first place. Why don't we send it down the line in the last few minutes we have here on our broadcast for some final thoughts and opinions on Galen Rupp's performance here today, and what turned out to be a second-place finish for the defending champ 30 seconds back, Abel Karui.
Let's also add that I think the storyline here, in part looking ahead, is what it means for the Chicago Marathon. I think from an interest standpoint in this city, what Jordan Hasay did in her performance, getting a terrific third and becoming the second fastest American of all time, and then Rupp's huge victory. First time an American has won in 35 years. The man next to me was the last guy to do it, Greg Meyer. I think it creates excitement for this race in the future. There is a strong tendency here with Kerry to be able to get back past champions. So I think you'll see Jordan back here next year, and you certainly will see the defending champion.
Greg Meyer, 1982 was your year here in Chicago. You won $12,000 for finishing in first. And today, Galen Rupp on his way, out sprinting his competitors with about 3 miles to go. I think I saw 12 grand fall out of his pocket. And he didn't turn around and grab it.
Outstanding athletic performances on both the men's and women's side, and the wheelchair athletes are incredible. But what I come away with again is this impacts the sport of running in the U.S. To have Americans compete on this kind of stage against the best in the world and come away with a victory, come away with the second best American time ever in a third place finish with Jordan Hasay. To me, that is just an incredible statement, and I think it will encourage others to step up. And as Jordan said, be competitive. Don't just run, be competitive. Stick their nose in it.
All right, and just for the record, I believe it was you who came up with the nickname The Disruptor.
It was, and I want that, credited to me.
Disruptor, Galen Rupp. What do we think? You saw him start to finish.
Well,
Kelly.
He is the disruptor, and he disrupted this field. I'm sure Abel Karui is still disrupted by it. And I think what you said, this is now a reemergence, a clear message to the world that America has come back, and we do have great athletes, and it should be an inspiration to these young athletes that are still in high school, in colleges and universities across the country, that they could have a shot. It is worth doing. It is worth pursuing this sport. It's worth staying in the game because there's so much more for the future. Jordan Hasay, I watched her in high school. I watched her in college. I watched her in the Olympic trials. I'm watching her now. Be warned, everyone else in the world. She is a force.
Jenny Spangler, our Olympian, for the 11th straight year you've watched this great race on our broadcast, and for many years before that, and you've been at the forefront of some of the world's great races. What did you think about what happened today in both fields, men's and women, and what kind of statement Chicago has made?
Well, I think today was one of the greatest races I've seen here at Chicago. And, the statement, I'm just going to reiterate what everybody else has said. U.S. distance running is back. We're not just going to lay down and let everybody go ahead. And, also I remember growing up when I was younger and, I had a Joan Benoit to look up to. Well, now all these young kids are going to look up to the Galen Rupps and the Jordan Hesses, and they're going to say they can do it. And
they're so young in their own rights.
Exactly. Very, very young. And I just like the patient progression. I think a lot of times as kids, and there was me included, you wanted it all now, but you watch them progressing from the track slowly up to the marathon, this patient, methodical buildup, and it pays off. And I think people can see that now, and I'm hoping that, really just kind of, sinks in for everybody.
Great job today, Jenny. Great job today, Cree, following the elite runners. They're on a moving vehicle, guys, and they're keeping up with clocks and form and how tight these elbows are tucked, so we really appreciate your bird's eye view on today's race. Larry, final thoughts? Greg, final thoughts with us here today on the broadcast?
One thing you have to pay tribute to them, because I've seen this happen on a lead vehicle, Josh, is they duck tree limbs as well.
Oh, when they're on the back of those trucks,
vehicles,
that's right.
Yeah.
All right, so quickly, Larry.
Fabulous day.
Fabulous.
Just a great
Everything
day.
cooperated.
The weather cooperated. The performances were as great as the weather. Hats off, and great excitement will be stirred in the United States because of Galen Rupp's victory and Jordan Hesse emerging as the new Joan Benoit Samuelson and Dina Casters of her generation. I think it bodes well for this race. I think you'll see an increase exponentially in the excitement going forward for next year, and hopefully they'll all be listening to the score next year.
Greg?
Obviously the athletic side here with our winners is important, but the thing that always strikes me about the Chicago Marathon is the fact that for a lot of these runners out here that we're seeing now and we'll see for the next hours, this race changed their life. They accomplished something they never thought they could do. And to me, that is the power of the Chicago Marathon and other marathons, is empowering people to do something they never dreamed they could do.
Greg Meyer, Larry Rawson, thank you guys for the time. Lots of thank yous to give out. Of course, Executive Race Director Carrie Pinkowski, myself, Josh List, Larry Rawson, Cree Kelly, Jenny Spangler, Greg Meyer, Mike Esposito, Eli Hershkovich back in the studio with Brendan McCaffrey, Rich Wyatt out here on scene with Marshawn Robinson. Great job, guys. Eric Dancer, Matt Pullman, Mitch Rosen, thank you. The Bank of America, of course, title sponsor. Nick Shepkowski, Rick Camp, Kevin Zepak. Congratulations to the winners and top finishers, and most of the everyday people still running, the volunteers and thousands of boisterous supporters along the route. Thanks for listening to our broadcast of the 40th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon on Sports Radio 670, The Score. 29 Chicago neighborhoods, 1 million fans at least along the course, and they are off and running. The 40th anniversary running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon is underway. Cree Kelly is standing by. There's been some movement in the men's field.
You've got Carulli, you've got Podese, they're all in it right now, and Rupp is right on it.
This is a great race now. Mile 18, and Galen Rupp is the one that looks the most comfortable.
35 years later since an American won. This will be a major earthquake in the sport of marathoning around the world. It really will, for distance running people to have an American do this.
The disruptor who trains out of Eugene, Oregon, Galen Rupp, running strongly towards the finish line. Crowd ringing bells, chanting USA, and for the first time since 1982, an American wins the men's race in Chicago. The great American, Galen Rupp. Congratulations to you, Galen.
I'm just so thrilled, this isn't just me. This is so many people put in so many sacrifices, hard work, to help me be at my best, between all my coaches, the support staff. I really just wanted to sit behind people, draft as much as I could, and then when it's time to go, then you make your move.
Tirunesh Dibaba of Ethiopia is a 32-year-old who set her personal record earlier this year in London. Tiru, as we call her, is hearing the noise near the finish line. The support from the Chicago crowd. In the blue top, bib 103, Tirunesh Dibaba. Tiru will cross first the 2017 Bank of America Chicago Marathon Women's Champion.
There is no better women's distance runner in the marathon or distance running than the royalty, Tirunesh Dibaba of Ethiopia.
Red, white, and blue reigns in Chicago. The disruptor, Galen Rupp, wins for the first time the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Geico.com is brought to you by local Geico agent Tim Calcagno at 630-631-0600.
There's only one station to talk Chicago sports. Sports Radio 670 The Score and 670thescore.com. Chicago Sports Station, WSCR and HD Chicago. WJMK HD2 Chicago.
We now join CBS Sports Radio already in progress on 670 The Score.
Darwin Zook, an hour from Week 5, kicking into full swing. Plenty of news, injury updates to give you. We start with the quarterbacks. Titans QB Marcus Mariota inactive against the Dolphins with a hamstring injury. Matt Castle will get the start. Raiders QB Derek Carr, despite being close to playing, it appears he won't be in uniform against the Ravens. That means E.J. Manuel getting the nod. Signs pointing to Sam Bradford getting the start for the Vikings tomorrow night against the Bears. Bradford took a majority of first-team reps in practice this week. First overall pick defensive end Myles Garrett set to make his debut for the Browns going up against the Jets. Steelers receiver Martavius Bryant also expected to play against the Jaguars despite battling illness. And Jags receiver Marquise Lee will be active. Cardinals wideout John Brown expected to play as he recovers from a quad injury. And Packers receiver Devontae Adams out of concussion protocol. He should be ready to go against the Cowboys. Colts QB Andrew Luck, despite returning to the practice field, isn't expected in a game according to reports for another month or so. Chargers first-round pick receiver Mike Williams will reportedly debut in Week 6 against the Raiders. So the game's coming up in an hour from now. The first-place Bills visit the Bengals. The Jets are in Cleveland. 2 3-1 teams squaring off in Detroit as the Lions host the Panthers. The Titans travel to Miami. 2 winless teams squaring off as the Giants welcome the Chargers. The Eagles host the Cardinals. And the Jags are in Pittsburgh, while the Colts welcome the winless 49ers. College football note, Michigan fell to Michigan State at the Big House last night for the 8th time in 10 meetings, and now the news gets worse for the Wolverines. It's now being reported that quarterback Wilton Speight, who was hurt in the September 23rd game against Purdue, has broken 3 vertebrae in his back. He's likely out for the season, but he will be reevaluated coming up in 6 weeks. To baseball, both ALDS series resume today with 2 teams facing elimination. First up, getting underway at 2:30 Eastern Time, the Red Sox trailing 2-0 to the Astros will try and stay alive at Fenway Park. Then later on, the Yankees also in an 0-2 hole host the Indians. Masahiro Tanaka opposed by Carlos Carrasco. Yanks manager Joe Girardi, think your guys are feeling the pressure?
Well, I don't think that's always the worst mentality to have. I don't. I think sometimes that can be a good mentality to have. So, we will preach to them, just win one game.
In the NLDS